Okay, so guys, we're here at Jaibella Beauty Bar. I am Jaibella with my co-host Tieara Leeann. She's a mental health therapist and author. We're going to talk about mental health today and the effects of mental health. So Tierra, I want to start with you. You tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I am in my for my educational background, I have a bachelor's in social work and a master's in psychology. I've been working in this field for like 6 years so far. Just as far as my, like I said, my educational background, but in my personal background, I have a book that I just wrote. It's called Understanding Anger. I have my own podcast, which is Rewired, and all of these things is just kind of under an umbrella of who I am and what I stand for. I love to bring love and motivation to any room I walk in. I'm all about uplifting. I'm all about self development and just keeping, yourself up. So thank you for having me on here.
You also were telling me that you were an influencer as well.
Exactly. So I just say influencer now because I know Tieara Leeann, the brand itself, has expanded so much. Like I said, it's like an enterprise. So you can see you guys just stay tuned. You'll be
Follow
seeing
her
more
on social media
of me, of my creative side, and more of me just wanting to, dib and dabble into more things outside of just the professional me.
Right.
I like to act. I like to I get into music. I like art. I like fashion. So it's a lot of things that I've been getting into these days. So
absolutely, absolutely. And follow her on IG at Tieara Leeann. Check her out and see what she has going on, guys. So we're gonna start this conversation out with you going over mental health. But first, I want to kind of go into my background, everything that I have going on. So of course, I have a beauty bar. I am launching a trucking company. Of course, we're doing the podcast, but the background of everything is having my beauty bar and wanting to share everything that I have with the world, giving people a better understanding of what I have going on. And so here at the beauty bar, we offer all services, hair, makeup, nails, everything. So whenever you need to get anything done on the south side, you come to the beauty bar and we can hook you up. So we're going to start the conversation out about Tierra speaking on mental health and the effects of mental health and advice and tips that she can offer to you guys. So when it comes to mental health, like what makes you so passionate about it? What made you choose that field?
I think it comes from me just always being able to talk to people. Like I've always been able to understand people from a different level than others. And just from that, I think it led me towards human behavior, understanding why do people do the things they do. Why do I do the things I do? Like, am I crazy? So, like, the more that I did my research in that area, I'm like, wow, this is something that none of us can escape. It's like physical health. So, I'm also into physical health too. Like, I'm an advocate for that. So just I think the passion just burns from me just wanting to understand people because I know at the end of the day that's all we have in the world is people and we have to learn how to operate and how to understand each other. So that's kind of
the gist of it.
Yeah, the gist of
absolutely. It. When I do think about mental health, I think about our culture because it is near and dear to me. When it comes to mental health, a lot of people in our culture are not really aware of the self-awareness, the awareness of mental health in general and whole. A lot of people, kind of shy away from it. But what I've noticed in the past, in the past years, I want to say past 7, 18 years, because it's like, it wasn't always, a big thing, but now the awareness is coming, to a head. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are getting the help for themselves. A lot of people are actually willing to sit on someone's couch and talk about their issues because in our culture, we come from a background where we have a lot of more suffrage, a lot of more things that have happened to us.
with my memory.
You did. I mean, honestly, like it's more so of a
Yeah, I like,
conversation.
and I like
You ready?
just facing you and me. How is
Thank
it
you.
once with this angle of us just talking like this? Any, well, no, everything looking clear. Okay, good.
I think so. Where's the questions at? I can't see the button. I think I texted to you. Okay, perfect. I got it. So, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, when we speak about, mental health and we talk about it within our culture, I think it's very important that the awareness of it, everybody is actually aware because a lot of times things happen to you or
Mm-hmm.
things happen like, events in your life and people don't really understand where you're coming from because they don't really know what's going on with you. So for someone that maybe is well balanced, maybe they don't have any behavioral disorders or they're not emotionally handicapped or they're not, bipolar or schizophrenic, then they can actually, deal with life, twists and turns. But someone that actually has a chemical imbalance or has a mental health condition, a lot of times it's they're coping with things is not as normal as someone that is actually just well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I've noticed too, a lot of people that that you deal with in your encounter, a lot of people aren't well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has some type of backstory. Everybody has something that stemmed in their childhood that takes form and shape and form in adulthood. So when it comes to mental health, how do you look into getting someone help? How do you break that down? Like say if you ran into a situation with someone that you knew and you know them on a personal level but not on a professional level, but you see these traits in them, you see the things that that they're dealing with when you're dealing with them on a regular. How do you break that down? Like how do you say to them like, hey?
I think that is that's a great question because it has been an ongoing battle for me because I've always learned that it's different when I'm working with people I don't know because the person I don't know I'm not biased to, and it seems like it's more comfortable for the other person versus when you see something in somebody you know or you love, especially your family member, it's hard to critique them or to give them constructive criticism without them losing trust or looking at you like you're judging them. So I try to be careful with my words, but as far as if I see something, that's one thing. If I see something, I notice it and I want to let you know so you could become aware of it, then I try to do that in a way that's kind of playful. That's my technique for that. But like if I have a friend or a family member that actually comes to me and they ask me like, what do you think about this situation? My friends and my family already know. I'm gonna give it to them raw, and the answer that I may give you is not gonna be the same from the person that you may ask. It's like your friend or your boyfriend. It's gonna come from a whole different type of perspective. So I really warn people about that because it's like, are you really ready to face reality? Because I'm gonna give you my opinion on a personal and a professional level. So that's a double dose.
Right.
Because usually when a person comes into my office, I may not even know them. It may be a side of them that I don't even know about, but they're coming to me for this particular problem. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you my advice on that. But if I know you as a person, then I can kind of shape that into what it could be. But as far as therapy goes, I try not to put that off on people. I try not to force my beliefs, but I always promote it. But I don't force it.
Right.
I don't force it.
Yeah, I do think it is a self-feed type of thing, depending on the situation. Because I've seen so many cases, like even in relationships, and it's funny because when you have conversations, relationships come up in every aspect.
It is.
And so it's like even in relationships, when you're dealing with someone, and it's like you see the issues that they have. And the sad part about it is you're in adulthood. And it's like they didn't get that help when they were younger. So if it's coming from you, then it's coming from a place to them of malice. So it's like when you're trying to say, listen, you're having an episode right now. How do I, how do you say that, or where do you come from in that situation? It's like, how do you deal with that?
I try my best not to be judgmental but I ask certain questions so you can become more aware. For instance, if I'm somewhere and let's say that's like my mom, she has really bad road rage and like stuff that she said sometimes.
Don't we all?
And she's driving. I'm just like, Mom, like that is not normal. Like she's like, I will get out this car. Like, Mom, why would you say these things? Like at this point, it's some anger going on with you, and I feel like you might want to get that checked out because you should never feel like you're so angry to the point where you want to get out your car and you never know what's about to happen. You know what I'm saying? So in those situations, I try to just be like I said, be playful, but I'm gonna still let you know, like, yeah, that's an issue right there.
Right.
What's going on, Fred?
Is it the double screen that's giving you an issue? So when you think about mental health, and you were saying as far as like in like with your mom, you was talking about that situation with the road rage, and I think about that because it relates to me so many times. Like especially here in Atlanta, like the traffic is so horrible, and it's like I feel like people just drive so crazy. And a lot of times, like I had to think about that myself. Like I had to come to terms with myself. Like, why am I getting upset about how these people are driving? Like it's all about awareness. It's all about actually being able to look at yourself in the mirror. Like even in situations like when I deal with situations daily, as an adult, I look at myself and I compare myself to my younger self to myself now in adulthood. And I think about how I always try to look at things in different standpoints. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never had to be evaluated or, I've never felt like I had something going on with me, but I do know within our culture, we're, aggressive or, we have different ailments and things that cause us to react differently. And so when I'm dealing with people, I always try to, even if I've said something wrong, I try to look at it, backtrack, go back to it, and then apologize, reflect on what I've done wrong. You know what I'm saying? Open that conversation up. If someone wants to talk about things, because a lot of times, like when we're dealing with people, we forget about everybody else's issues, their everyday life, and whatever they have going on. We're kind of more thinking about self, And so when you're thinking about self, then you're not considering the other person. But it's best to take a step back and see what's going on. Like if you notice, a lot of people are killing themselves. Suicide is like an all-time high. And it's like a lot of times, like, and it's crazy because it's a girl that's like not far from my shop. The shop is like literally in the same vicinity of me. And all of this time that I've been here, I've always said, like, I'm going to go by and meet her and introduce myself to her. You know what I'm saying? But it's like life was just happening for me. Didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to do that. And then someone calls me like last weekend, was like, she killed herself. And I'm like, God, that is so like messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it stayed on my mind. It's like it's been on my mind every day since that, because I'm like, could I have made a difference had I just did what was being put on my spirit several
Mm-hmm.
times to actually like go and take that stuff and like introduce myself, get to know her as a person.
Right.
Because suicide is something serious. Like people can look at you from the outside and think that everything is good,
Okay. Right.
but on the inside, that mental what's going on inside is the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing. Like how do you relate to that? What made it so important for you? Like what made you want to even get into mental health? And was this something that you experienced from a young age, knowing, was it
Mm-hmm.
something that you wanted to help our culture with? Like what was it that made you want to get into that?
Well, first of all, it goes back to what you said. Changing your perspective sometimes. I had to change my perspective on a lot of things just because, for one, I grew up as an only child. So it's just me.
Wow.
And with me just being alone and being by myself for so many years as a child, I think I got the chance to really evaluate myself and evaluate others. Like, man, when you grow up as an only child, you kind of like taking notes from everybody in the world, and
Right.
it's just one person, because I don't have no sisters or no brothers to look up to. So really, I'm just taking whatever I could take out of this person, that person, and I'm always taking the good from the situation. So with that, I feel like I'm learning that everyone is not perfect. No one is perfect.
Mm.
So it's like we judge people so harshly, and we judge people sometimes just based off of what we may be deflecting off of, or how we feel within ourselves and our own personal beliefs. But it's just like all of our brains are diverse. We all have different upbringings. We all can come from different circumstances, different backgrounds. So you cannot expect for us all to have the same mentality. Just even piggyback on slavery, with our culture, we were suppressed. We were taken advantage of, brainwashed, and a lot of things that we know as a culture, which is true.
Right.
And I feel like at some point we got to address those things, those psychological things that have stopped us and blocked us from success. Or it's not even always about success, it's just about living a healthy lifestyle. Like, we deserve to live healthy. We deserve to have these resources open to us. Other races has been doing it for years. So when it comes to therapy, I think once I got into school and I was able to make friends and network with different people, especially in the mental health population, I kind of grown a liking to that, and just seeing that, okay, if I do this different, let's say for instance, okay, every day I say my morning affirmations, that makes me feel better. Every day, I go jog, I go walk, I put myself in a place where my mind is not blocked, and I can
Right.
think. So I'm watching myself grow into a better person, and I'm just like, wow, I want to share this with people. So that's why over the years I just became so passionate and just like so on a mission and being an advocate for mental health, because I've helped myself. I had to self motivate myself through a lot of situations as a young girl. Growing up thinking I had it all figured out when I really didn't. But the more that I learned about these disorders, or just things, just like anxiety, I battle anxiety sometimes just because it's a lot going on with the world. And if you're a person and you own your own business and you
Mm.
trying to take care of people, it's a lot of things and it's overwhelming. So I had to, I had to research a lot of things, and it's a lot of advice I don't give just straight from the book. I give advice based off of my own personal experience. So it's like with everybody, I always say use your mess to make a message. So the things that I've been through, I would love, and I feel like everybody should do that, to just be able to share that with somebody else and give them that knowledge that you've gained over the way, and maybe that'll help somebody out. Just like you said with the girl, you never know. One word or one thing you could have said to her that could have sparkled her day. But unfortunately, that's sad that happened. But that's just a prime example of, like you said, if your spirit is telling you one thing, act on it. Mind, body, and spirit. Those are three things that is so
You're
key
touching on that.
components
And I was
to
just
life.
going to ask you that, because it's like, in our culture, it's so weird. It's like, to me, and I always say this, our culture is so powerful.
Yes.
And it's not to knock any other culture, but our culture is so powerful because it's like we're tapped in on so many levels, like you're spiritual. You know what I'm saying? That taps into mental health. Like all of it ties in together because your spirit guides you. Like you can feel something. You can feel tension. You can feel when something's wrong. Like for weeks, I've been like, dang, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. And it's like a lot of times you don't want to speak on things. You don't want to always be that person just feeling like, okay, I gotta say something. I gotta say this. You kind of want to just like, I'm a person that I've learned to like kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
But then it's like, when you're going with the flow and you're noticing that things are off, it's like you want to say something to people, and you're dealing with the spiritual, like your spirit, like what you feel, how you feel about things. And then it's like even, our everyday relationships.
You know a trick that I do when I feel like that?
What?
Like I move around a lot. Like I'm not an introvert by any stretch of the meaning. Like I am an extrovert. I like to be outside. I like nature. I just have random conversations with random people. I don't let them know who I am, where I'm from, or anything. And that's the whole power behind therapy. You talking to somebody you don't even know. So like if I meet somebody and we talking, I will let loose on them and just tell them my problem.
Really? And you know what? That does work. That's crazy because you feel more comfortable talking to a complete stranger. You know why? Because they're not judging you.
Exactly.
They don't know you on a personal level. When you talk to your peers, when you talk to, say, your friends and stuff.
You're worried about what they're going to say, what they're going to think. Do they not feel like you can handle life? Like, you worry about those things. But if you just like, the other day I had a conversation with a girl at QT. I was actually on the phone and she was eavesdropping. It's like an angel. I was talking about like same thing I was talking to Fred about my mom being in an accident. And it's just been a lot. Just trying to help her out and stuff. That. So the girl she heard me on the phone. She was like, I overheard you and I take care of my mom and blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, we was in the gas station talking for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It just made me feel so good when I walked out. I'm like, got that load off of me.
Right.
Thank God.
And the best
experience. She caught it.
Yeah. The best experience is your own experience. Because a lot of times, like you can go to school, and you can educate yourself on things. But the best lesson is through experience and understanding things and learning from whatever you go through. And understanding like your journey and why you're on that path. It's like, being in business and, dealing with different things. Like it's one thing to be an entrepreneur, but then it's one thing to be a CEO and then a business owner. And it's like a lot of times, as far as like with me, like I deal with a lot of personalities. I deal with a lot of people. I come in contact with a lot of people. And for me, I feel like because of the person that I am, I pick up on so much from people. And it's like because of what I've been through, like I've dealt with the scope because my background, my education, criminal justice. So I've dealt with, mental health in different areas. But then I also dealt with it on a personal level with family members and friends. So it's always been near and dear to me, So when I deal with people and I notice that there's something going on, a lot of times I can relate to them and understand them on a different level, a different aspect because of the fact that I've experienced the mental health side of different situations. Exactly. And it makes you understand things better because it's like when you're a business owner and you're dealing with certain things, people don't understand. Like I got my own personal life. I have a child. I have this business, and other businesses that you're focused on. Like you see how like, okay, you're an author. Like that's something else. I was like, okay, I'm trying to get all of myself together to finish writing my book, to publish my book and get it out there. But it's like life happens to you. And it's like a lot of times I do find myself anxious and I've used different things to like try to hone in to where it's like I can balance myself, like maybe sometimes I feel like coffee works for me where it's like, I don't feel as productive today. I don't want to get up and do what I need to do. So I'm going to have me a cup of coffee because it's going to give me that boost and give me that energy or work out, like exercising. I feel like I get my most best sleep when I exercise. I feel my most best self or prayer, different things or talking to someone. Like I have people in my life that I can call and I can talk to and there's no judgment there. Exactly. You know what I mean? And whatever I'm talking to them about, I don't have to worry about it being repeated. And that's the thing about therapy, like having a therapist sitting on someone's couch you know that when you talk about whatever you're talking about, they don't really care about your business enough to say, oh, I'm gonna talk about you, or even,
Right.
they're just there to give you that advice. So when you're dealing with mental health, do you feel like you have someone that you can go to, that you talk to about things within, your circle? Like, do you have that person that you can go to? Is that more important if you can't have the means or the resources of having a mental health therapist?
You want to know something? I always tell my friends and my family this, because I feel like with me being in this field, a lot of people just expect for me to just have it all together, and it's just like,
Right.
I have my days like anybody else where I feel overwhelmed, or I feel like, wow, I need a break. Excuse me. But I'm learning how to communicate that. I'm learning how to be aware and to call on people and not feel like, oh, I don't want to just bother them with my stress. Maybe they're going through something, or, I'm learning to just open up more just so people would know exactly where I'm at. Because for the longest, I'd be like, wow, y'all act like I don't have problems. Like, everybody calling me about their problems. Like, I got problems too. But it's like, am I vocal about my problems though? Or am I, so that's a lot of times to help people with stress and anxiety. I say, just be honest with yourself first, and then be honest with the people around you, so then they'll know exactly how to address you. For me, for the longest, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have people to talk to. I actually had mentors, and I had a therapist myself, and that was kind of like my outlet. But I had to, like I said, I had to address things with my friends and my family, and just let them know that I have problems too, and I would like that same support that I give you. I will want that same support in return. So, yeah, I feel like I do have people I can talk to, so that's good. Now I do.
So do you find like any challenges, like as far as you being your own boss and stuff, like, do you find like challenges and things that you face on a daily trying to keep things together that maybe tie into, your mental, that messes with you mentally, that you deal with, that you worry, because worry, stress, mental, all of that stuff ties in together?
For me, I try to keep my balance. I try to be balanced within my family, within my business, within my personal life, my social life. I try to keep everything balanced. I have a day for everything. Like this day, Thursdays is my family day. So if I don't talk to my family, God knows I love y'all. But if I can find the time on Thursday, I told myself that will be my day that I set aside to call my family, FaceTime them. Y'all just get me. Thursday, you get me. You call me, you need something, that's your day. Fridays, I like to hang out. I try to keep myself balanced so I will not go through the point of me feeling so anxious or me feeling like overwhelmed. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I have ADHD. I've self-diagnosed myself because I stay on the go. I have to be on the go. I have to
multitask.
Something, and I'm learning. I read a book and I studied that. I'm learning that people with ADHD, you maneuver and you function at a different level that people don't understand. But you have to continue to do you, because what works for you is what works for you, and what works for other people works for them.
Absolutely.
But when you're such, a creative genius, you just have all these ideas, overflowing, and it's like, go with it. I put it in motion. Okay, if I'm thinking about this, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna put that in motion. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put it in motion, because I know once I come back, I can never say I don't have nothing to do. That's my biggest fear, is not having nothing to do. And that's what I struggle with that, because if I don't have anything to do, I get depressed.
It's so crazy to me, because I think, it's so funny when you said that. I relate to that so much, because a lot of people, it'd be so funny, like my friends, like my family, people that are very close to me, they'd be like, girl, you act like you got ADHD. And they're like, you cannot just sit still. Like, you always got to be doing something. Like, literally, if we're on vacation, girl, I'm working. I'm doing something. Like, I can't just stop and sit down. But I'm going to tell you something. People with ADHD, I know so many of them that have actually been evaluated. Those are the most intelligent people. And it's like, it was crazy, because a lot of times back in the day, like, they would medicate those kids because of the fact that they couldn't sit still. You know what I'm saying? They were constantly needed to be challenged, and people didn't understand that. So the awareness of it was that they were looking at, oh, this child is bad. No, they need something to do. They're getting bored. And it's like, people don't understand that, but it's like, people that have ADHD are very creative people.
Exactly. It's not, and I think when people say, oh, well, you always doing this and that, it's not the competence, it's not the knowledge, it's not the education behind it.
Exactly.
Really, you're really functioning at an above average level.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Constantly going.
People don't understand it, so it's just like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. But for the ones that do, got it. Like, you got to stay on the move, and you got to do what works best for you. Because I thought that it was a cure for it, and it's not. It's actually not. Like you said, they used to give children Ritalin and Adderall and things like that, just to keep them at a regular level.
Right. But it would slow you down.
But it slows you down, and it stops you.
Yeah.
And you're no longer functioning how you want to function, and you're incapable of doing the things that you really want to do. So I think people, whoever out there listening that has ADHD, or you feel like you got ADHD, continue to push through and continue to do what works best for you. That's the only cure to it, is to do you. Because if you listen to everybody tell you to slow down, you're going to get bored. You're going to overthink things. And before you know it, you fall into some type of deep sea. You don't want to fall into that.
Right.
You want to keep going. You want to keep your momentum at your momentum. We all have different pace.
Yes.
So,
and I think depression, it is so crazy, because I think depression is the most popular form, because of the fact that no matter what ailment you have, you always slip into depression.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you see that you have issues, like for instance, ADHD, I don't feel like you need to medicate. I feel like you need to rechannel what you got going on. Because if you decide to say, like, for instance, when you're using that energy, whatever you have going on, figure out a way to work around it. Like, if you're a person that you're constantly thinking, like me, I have to take notes a lot, because I will have ideas. I can just be sitting down for a minute, whatever time that is.
Yep.
And things will come to my mind, and I'm just like, okay, I got in the habit of saying, let me write this down, because I would think of it, but I can easily forget it too, because you're constantly going.
I write my stuff down too. I write, and that's why I end up writing my book. I wrote my book in the pandemic, Understanding Anger. Make sure y'all get that on Amazon, by Tieara Leeann. But yeah, I wrote that book during this pandemic because I felt like I was so bored just sitting in the house, and I just thought of so much stuff, and I kept writing everything down, all my ideas. I'm just trashing it. I got notebooks full of stuff, and I said to her, all this writing you do, you need to write a book, because and just put that energy into one subject. So that's how I got that off, by just focusing in, and me being able to write. I'm a creative writer. I love writing. So me being able to write so many notes about different things, because I literally would sit up and study. I study my craft. I study stuff about anger and just it could be anxiety, anything. I study it all the time, because I want to be aware, and I want to be aware enough as a professional, as a therapist, to give my clients and the people I work with a suitable treatment or a suitable session. Yeah. So you'll know, like, okay, this girl really knows exactly what she's talking about, because in the midst of me thinking of, okay, how can I help somebody, I'm also thinking, okay, does this relate to me? How can I help myself? So then when I touched on the ADHD, I'm like, oh Lord. I got this. Jesus.
Yes.
I'm sitting here trying to read and help somebody else.
It's so prevalent in our culture. I'm sorry. I think that a lot of the people, because I come in contact with a lot of creative people, I think that a lot of people have ADHD. But I think it's an actual good thing. I don't think that it's like a disorder.
It's just that you can be compulsive at times. You can be very either compulsive or indecisive. It's like either or. So that's something, that's a glitch. I look at sometimes like, dang it. But I mean, in order to be successful sometimes, in order to push yourself to be the best, you have to make choices. And if you make choices quick, then it can be a good thing. It could work for you, you know? Right. And I mean, I always tell people, I'd rather keep hitting, than never hit, and you never strike nothing.
Right. So absolutely. It's like, do you feel like even like when you look at, relationships, and you talk about, like, for instance, I've been like, at times when I do my downtime, it's like I'll look at things that's going on, and I'll see situations and stuff, and it's like different relationships, and abuse and just different things. When you see people go into relationships with someone and they're, dealing with abuse or like a toxic relationship. And I always look at it as it's a reflection of yourself. Or for people that run into the same type of relationship, how do you evaluate that? Like I'm sure you've had this, a woman that's sitting on your couch or a man, and he keeps getting the same type of toxic type of situation. How do you evaluate that?
I just say is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. But you're getting the same results because you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And it's just like when it comes to relationships, at some point, if you feel like it's toxic or you feel like it's not working out, I would say you have to do some deep thinking and self-evaluating on, okay, what is it within me that I feel like I deserve this type of situation? I think a lot of times people never ask themselves, like, okay, who am I to feel like I deserve this? Or who am I to feel like this is something that I want to go through? And just really keep it real with yourself. I tell people all the time, ask yourself these two questions. Who am I and what do I want? Those two questions can really answer a lot of things. Don't be vague about it. Really get down and be specific. Like even when it comes to our spouse, when it comes to our house, it comes to anything, the type of car we want, you got to really break those things down so much into detail that you know it to the point where if somebody come at you with something or if you experience a situation, you know that this is not for you because you know yourself so well to the point where you're not even allowing that to even come into your space. So a lot of times that's why I talk to women in general about self-love. Self-love that will save you every time because the more that you are able to invest in yourself and the more that you are able to pour into you, you'll be able to see exactly what you want. And sometimes people get shitty people because maybe it's some things that you're doing that makes you a shitty person. You never know.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not every day where you have this perfect person walking down the street. Oh, I'm a pastor or I'm an angel, whatever. And now I'm in a situation with a person that's totally opposite from me. You get what I'm saying? Like I know they say opposite attract, but sometimes it's you that attract yourself.
Yeah,
to the
something
same
you
thing.
see in that person.
Yeah, so it's like the things that you see that you don't like, you gotta ask yourself, okay, are those traits in me, or am I bringing those traits out of a person? So, like I said, I try to just tell people when they come to me for relationship advice, especially women, I just always say, pour into yourself. Self-love will save you and know what you want. Know who you are, most importantly. And I think a lot of people, when they get in this relationships, they don't know who they are from the beginning. So now you're altering yourself based off of this person, who they feel like they are. And it's just a constant battle. It's between who you feel like you are and who I feel like you should be and who I feel like I am too. That's a lot going on right there. So you got to kind of like fix it to the point where you standing on who you are as a person. For the moment you walk through the door, you know exactly who you are, what you bring to the table, how much you make, what you want to be, you know, all of that. And now you got this person that may be whoever they say that they are. Now we got to live up to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like we make the relationship so hard. It's like just know who you are and know what you want. And a lot will come out of that.
A lot of times, though, people go into relationships because of circumstances.
Exactly.
Or what they think they want, or because they're afraid to be single.
Like
I've seen this a lot of times that I've had to, because for me, like I always wanted to, like I always felt like psychology was like my thing, right? I wanted to go to law school, but I'm like, psychology, like I can understand people on a different level. So it's like when people come to me for advice, I don't look at what's on the surface. I think more in depth because I feel like I'm an analytical thinker. So it's like I'm looking at, why do you keep feeling comfortable with doing this same situation? Are you thinking about why they're doing this to you? Why are you accepting that? And that's a lot of times, like we have to ask ourselves, like I do this all the time. I ask myself, okay, what is in this situation that's causing you to react this way? Or what's going on with you? Like I had situations in the past few months because things have changed for me.
Right.
I've experienced a lot of different changes, and I feel like I'm at a point in my life where things are changing. I'm so used to being I guess you would say, in control. I'm so used to having everything planned
Right.
out because I'm like, I got to be responsible. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
got a child, you know, I got to have everything that makes sense. But then it's like life hits you
Mhm.
and you're like, okay, now, am I happy with what I'm doing? And am I happy at the pace that I'm going? Because your
Right.
happiness is important. You know, you're living for your child, but it's like, I need to be happy too,
Yeah.
you know, to be a better mom, you know, at my fullest potential. And then it's like when you're going through things and life changes for you, then mentally you're drained and mentally
Mhm.
you're going through something and you're not operating at your best.
You're not.
It's like you're carrying frustration and built up of
Exactly.
things. So you're lashing out. And I found myself like lashing out in the situation. And I was like, wow, I had to step back and I was like, I would have never reacted, at least not in adulthood. I wouldn't have reacted in that way.
Right.
How could I have allowed myself to get
Wow.
to 10?
See, you are very analytic and you self-aware because a lot of people are not like that. Like they'll do things and they just like, okay, well, whatever. But like you said, it's always good to check yourself in that moment. Like, okay, what would make me act out like that? Why would I say that? Like, that's not like me. Is there something going on? I always say, dang, I need to go to the gym. I need to go on a walk. I need to just treat myself a little bit better because obviously I got some ugliness pouring out of me somewhere. What is going on?
Right.
You know, but I mean, we are all human. So just to have our emotions sometimes tipped over, it's expected. You know, everybody's not walking on the straight and narrow, especially when you have people in your life that can affect your emotions, like your children or your spouse or your parents, your family. Those people, they got a way of getting to you. So with that, I say, I don't know, for me, I feel like when I go through those moments where I'm feeling like I'm not being myself or I'm overreacting or I'm saying harsh things or I'm just doing things inappropriate outside of me. You know, what's appropriate or my standard. We all know, you know, whatever your standard is for you or how you carry yourself. I always feel like it's something going on in this week or it's something going on with this spiritually that I can't quite make out. So I try to spend time evaluating. I walk, I clear my mind, I go to the park and I just walk and I just try to like think, but think things through and get those distorted thoughts away from me because I know if I'm thinking it and my mind is all over the place, that's how I'm acting. You ever notice how a person you could be, have you ever, well, you know, you real pretty and all. You get dressed and stuff.
Beautiful.
Thank you. But you ever had a person like they'll tell you something like you look cute, but they like you can see like in their face they don't really want to. They don't really mean that. They just saying that because it may just be a suggested on autopilot type of thing. Like maybe I'm supposed to say that.
Or exactly, I need to say that.
Spiritually, you can see like
you
in
can
their
sense
body,
it.
you can sense that they don't mean that.
I was just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, so it's like even when you get to that point where you feeling like you have to go against your spirit, it's something that you should just do. You should work on yourself in that moment. Get 30 minutes of your time, an hour of your time a week to think things through and, you know, kind of like just grab it all together.
How do you deal with those type of situations though? Like when you, like I have a situation like that where, because, you know, being a beautiful woman, it's like, in the past, I've gone through this so many times where you've had situations where you could be as nice as you want to be to a person, but they gonna always have this envy or something. Like it's gonna always be like, how do you deal with those situations? Because like me, it's like I've always found myself having better relationships with males, you know, because it's like there's no cattiness there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like the most you got to worry about is like, oh, they just think you pretty.
Right.
But it's like with women, it's always like this cattiness, like this, like, you know, envy. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, do you just like eliminate that situation? Because like I've always like eliminated situations like that. But then now in adulthood, I'm like, okay, maybe I can like kind of like rechannel that energy and talk to that person and talk it out and see, like make them answer that for themselves. Like, what is your issue?
Bingo. That's what I always do. I do that. I try to just be so kind, especially to people that are mean or people that I sense with that type of energy. I'm super kind to them because I want you, like you said, I want you to check yourself now. I haven't done anything to you. I haven't said anything to you. So if you're feeling anything about me within you, any type of way, you know it's all on you, right? Because I done gave you compliments. I done told you thank you, please. I done said all the pleasant things that I could possibly say at this point. And it's like, if you still giving me that energy, I want you to know that now you have to go home and you got to check yourself. Like, why was I acting like that?
But do they check themselves? Is that a mental thing?
I don't know.
Because I feel like it's a mental thing.
I hope they
I
check
do.
themselves.
I feel like it's something that, like, you know how some people are raised a certain way.
Yeah.
I feel like it has everything to do with your upbringing, but it becomes mental. Because maybe you're so used to getting all the attention or something, and somebody else around you, they're getting the attention. You don't like
People
it.
don't know how to handle that.
That's crazy
and
to
it's
me.
Like you asking me, even from my perspective, I still can't give you that answer because I've never been that type of person, and I never understand. I can't understand haters. I don't know.
Like,
I can't tell you how I hate this.
I love a person that has so much going for themselves. I even love it more when they're in my circle. Like, I be like, it makes me happy.
But like you said, I think it's upbringing, because a lot of girls, and I don't have sisters, but I noticed some women that have sisters, it's something about that. It's something about that competitiveness that they bring out, or sometimes that cattiness. I've learned that. And it's like, okay, is this taught in the home that me and my sisters, we have to compete with each other, or my mom may be showing favoritism to one sister because she looked like this, or, you know, my dad may show favoritism. So it's a lot of things that can play into when a woman stepped out here in the real world and she's against people outside of the people in her household. Maybe you was getting all the attention, or you had it all going on in that situation,
right? For whatever reason,
or whatever in those circles, but now you come to a different circle, you may not shine as bright.
Wow.
And a lot of women, they don't know how to be okay with that. It's like, how can I outdo you? How can I outshine you? And I feel like that level of thinking to me is basic.
It is.
It's very basic.
Yes, it is. I think that everybody has their own special light.
They do.
And no matter what you do, everybody has their own special light. Like, even when you go to a club with your girls, if you may notice, it's certain people that gravitate to certain people.
Okay.
Like, I notice all the time, like me, I always notice that the guys in the club with all the flashy jewelry, because for me, that's not me. I don't, that's not. I always notice like what friends that navigate to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So funny.
And the one with the, you know what I'm saying, the guy with the nice shoes and the nice, nice classy watch and everything.
So what type of guys gravitate towards you?
It always be the guys that, like the professionals. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that like got money, but they're not flashy.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy that gravitates towards me. And that's the type of guy that I would welcome. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to have money. It's okay to like nice things, but to be flashy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing wrong with it.
It's not. That's me.
But it's just
that's
not.
So funny.
Yeah, so it's like it's somebody for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's a circumstance for everybody. You know what I'm saying? My growth is my growth. Your growth is your growth. We don't have to be envious of each other. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We can be happy for each other. Maybe it's something I can learn from you. Maybe it's something you can learn from me.
Exactly.
I look at like different things, like even like, for instance, like people be talking about Kanye and everything, say all this stuff about him. But I love Kanye. And the reason why I do is because on the level of like watching his journey, watching his story, like I've always sat back and watched Kanye and seen like how he blossomed. Mm-hmm. But even seeing his documentary and watching him, everything that he went through, it speaks to entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Everything that he did, I learned something from watching the documentary, but I'm also learning something from his relationship, like what he's going through. Like I remember, being married and my ex-husband, how he dealt with the separation. I dealt with it differently. Like I completely blocked everything out. You know what I'm saying? Because my mind, I'm the type of person like, and I'm learning myself. Like when I know that you've done something to me and I know that I've given you the opportunity to change it. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, you don't change it. It's like, okay, this is the result of it. And I'm not going from that. But some people don't do that. And so it's like, I can walk away and not ever look back. But then I've also seen the side where it's like, I know I felt like I've done something, then I carry the guilt. But in that situation, I watched his reaction and how the things that he would do to me. It wasn't that he intentionally meant to really hurt me. It was just that he was trying to get a reaction out of me because he couldn't get what he wanted. Mm-hmm. And so it's like when I watch Kanye, a lot of people are like, oh, it's because of his condition or, what he's doing to her and this and that. And I'm like, it's a lot of things in that situation that people don't really understand. It's his ego, it's things that he's dealing with within himself, wanting to keep his family. Like, how do you view that situation with them?
I think it's a mixture of, like you said, his ego, and then it's a mixture of, um, it could be some mental things going on. It could be some mental issues. But I feel like when you're dealing with stress and you're dealing with certain things and so many things that the world don't even know. If the world know X, Y, and Z, just imagine what's going on behind closed doors. So I think a lot of times with celebrities and people who are just iconic, because I love Kanye myself. I look at him like an icon.
Yes, me too, girl.
He's like a creative genius, and I've always kind of, like you say, I followed his career, and even watching his documentary, it said a lot about him to me on a mental health level, on a spiritual level, on a level where I could really be able to, from an entrepreneur aspect. Yeah. Yep. So I was just like, wow, it really makes sense. He was super close to his mother. His mother was like his biggest cheerleader, his biggest fan. And he lost his mother.
And it was traumatic.
It was super traumatic. And you could kind of like see the turn that he made. And when he made that turn, it was just like, okay, now I'm making this turn. But sometimes when we make turns, we may make turns too quickly. And it can be detrimental to our career, because you gotta let yourself heal from certain things. I feel like when you move so fast and you acting off impulse and the emotions. But instead of you being able to really just sit back, because I feel like when you're so ambitious, you feel with so much energy that you just so excited, you want to get it out. You just like, but sometimes it can come out a different way than what you expect. So you gotta kind of step back and reevaluate things and just really be able to map it out in a way that you feel like other people can understand. And I'm learning that not only as an entrepreneur, but as a creator, things that I want to put out to the world. It may look good to me. It may just be dope and iconic and just, ooh, this is different. But I'm like, how are people going to view that? You know, right. How would people view me, or how would people see this? So it's just like a lot of times I feel like with him, he goes with things and he may think of it and he just go with it. And just him dating, another influencer or another celebrity with so much clout, that those situations just it just seems like it just gets out of hand. And you really, as a celebrity, you really got to pay attention to your mental health, because you're getting attacked from every angle.
Oh my God. I be seeing that.
You getting attacked from every angle.
I'm like, I don't know how they deal with that. Like, it's easier living in your own bubble. You know what I'm saying? And you dealing with your life situations, and you can deal with it on your own within your family. You know what I'm saying? But imagine like everybody being a critic of what you're doing. Ooh. That's the hardest thing to go through. Like, and it's so crazy how I could see different point of views, even though I've never experienced that. But I can understand, because when you go through trauma, people don't understand. This is one thing I always say when people speak on that situation. Kanye losing his mom was the most traumatic thing in his life. Mm-hmm. So whatever condition he had, it magnetized that condition.
It did.
It took it to a whole nother level because of the fact that what he is used to, it no longer exists. And I saw, it's like traumatic situations can cause you to have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
And you don't come back from that. I've seen it firsthand. It's like, and then if they put you on medication, like these different medications do things to you. And I'm not making excuses for whatever. But I will say this, when I look at the things that he's saying, the things that he's doing, I see what the intent is. I can understand where he's coming from. He's coming from a hurt place, and he's trying to get a reaction. He's trying to get her to do, to act a certain way. He wants something out of the situation. Not only they have kids in that situation, and that's even hard.
It is crazy that you pointed that out, because you said, like, I deal with that. And, with breakups, you could get your buttons pressed, and it's like, okay, well, let me do this to see if you're going to do this. And that's so crazy, because I never thought of it that way. But I think the whole him and Kim thing, I think a lot of things that he's doing now is to get her attention and to get her to react to what he's doing. And in the midst of it, people are just like, this man is crazy. But let me tell you, my dad is a Gemini. And I always tell people that my dad do not play. Like, still to this day, my parents have been divorced for 15 years. My dad still asks me every day about my mom. Where's she at? He asks the strangest questions. And I'm just like, Dad, are you serious? I told him, I said, you act like Kanye West, man. You do. Like, let it go. He said the same thing. I'm like, is this a gym? He be like, well, she will always be mine. And I'm just like,
wow,
you is crazy.
Men, let me tell you something. Men are so territorial. When I tell you, let me tell you something. My ex-husband, it was so crazy because I used to be sitting back. My mom used to be like very worried for me or whatever. And at the time, like my dad was still living. And it's like a lot of things I kept internally because I didn't like to include family into stuff. But it's like he was the person where he would contact my family. He would contact my aunt. And he's like trying to get them to talk to me. But me, it's like when I'm at a certain point, I have to block you out.
Right.
And it's like he was just doing things to me. Doing things because it's like he was the breadwinner. He was the one with the money. He was paying everything. So for me to step away from that situation, build my own, and do my own thing, it was hard for him to sit back and watch it because everything that I accomplished, everything that I did was everything that him and I discussed. Everything that he wanted from me, but for me to do it by myself and not need his help. And then for him to sit back and be doing little things. Calling my job, like little things just to cause havoc in my life. And I was still succeeding, still getting past it. It was hurting him. But he was wanting the reaction, everything that he was doing was to get me to come back to him because he thought like, oh, if I do this, she's going to need me for this, so this is going to make her come back. But no matter what he did, I didn't go back. So it's like when I watch Kanye and I see everything that's happening, I see this person that has mental things that they say is going on with him, which I don't personally know him on that level, so I can't speak on it. But I see him being totally human. He can't help who he is. You know what I'm saying? So when he's dealing with that situation, he's only dealing with it from a hurt place. Exactly. Hurt people.
They do.
So it's like when I see that situation, I just like, I feel so sorry for him. But I still like, he's an icon to me. Girl, look at the stuff that he did.
Exactly.
Even when I compare all of my favorites, Jay-Z, like all of those people, it's like I watched his story and the entire time in the documentary, I was so like hurt. Like I cried throughout the documentary because it was like, man, this is crazy because you have people around you that will do that to you. You know what I'm saying? You have friends that can touch certain things and get you to certain levels, but they won't do it because they don't want to see you surpass them.
They don't.
When in reality, whatever, if any way that I can help you, anybody that I've ever come in contact with, if I can help them do anything, I'm going to do it. Because that's my blessing within myself. When you bless others, you get blessed. God put us on this earth for purpose. Exactly. So it's like, why hold somebody back because you're afraid they're going to go beyond you? What does it matter? But yeah, that's my take on things. But so definitely, I feel like when it comes to mental health, I feel like everyone should be aware. I feel like if it's important to you, like when you're dealing with something, find you someone's couch to sit on, talk to someone. Like I have this best friend and it's like I can talk to him about anything. And I've been knowing him since high school. And it's like he's always there for me. And whenever I'm going through something, it's like he can answer in one freaking word and it can just solve the whole problem, right? And it's like I could talk to him about anything and I don't have to worry about nobody hearing it. So it's like that's my therapist. Like anytime I'm going through something, if I need to understand it from a scope of a man, or even for him, like he can step out of himself and give me advice on.
See, that's good that you have a male perspective, especially if you're dating someone and you may want some advice sometimes. And I think as women, we mess up by trying to get advice from the same sex, trying to get advice from our friends, our sisters, our moms. And it's just like, well, does it really work?
No.
It's like you got to really ask a person of the same type of makeup, mental makeup, and to get their perspective, because maybe their perspective may be a little bit different from her perspective, which is just like your perspective. And that's why you're in the same, the boat that you're in right now. So it's like to have a male perspective or a male therapist in your corner, that's great, because I feel like a lot of people should look at it that way, because just the same way women, we want to be empowered. We want to lift each other up sometimes. We need to be there for men as well, and as well as they can be there for us. It's not always about finances. It's not always about, being there emotionally or affectionate or, those things. It's about, okay, when we're really going through some real things in life,
right?
Who can we talk to? We got to open those conversations up so we, as opposite sex, can feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because even with men, they may be sitting up talking at the barbershop about, oh, my girl did this, my girl did that. All they gonna do is give you a perspective of what they girl done did, and they girl may not be nothing like your girl. But if you ask a woman, I may give you a perspective just as a woman in general, not because of who I am or what I've been through. Oh yeah, da da da. I'm gonna be like, okay, because you know why? I'm a woman. So why wouldn't you ask a woman about your woman?
Right.
Hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that only makes sense.
I feel like I am a therapist. It's so funny because a lot of times my clients, they'll come and they'll get their hair done, but then they talk to me about things. And a lot of like my guys, like a lot of the guy clients, like they'll talk to me about things and I give them advice. And it's like, I've seen it work because of the fact that, you know, women, we know how we feel. We know how we think.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it's good to have that opposite, because sometimes when you have like your female friends, like I witnessed this, and it was so crazy because normally I didn't talk about my problems with my friends. I didn't even share that because I felt like, you know, I'm here, you know what I'm saying, with things, and you're there with things, you know, so we don't see things the same. But I remember like allowing a friend to be, you know, to know what was going on. And it's like that friend kind of like was like judging things from a different type of standpoint. Perspective. Yeah, like a more like kind of like an envious standpoint where it's like you're giving advice that you don't really even mean, that you just, you know, you don't want, you know, and that's the thing that I've seen a lot. So it's like, for me, when you ask another guy or even a guy that you're not even close to, they're going to really give you, from a woman. You ask a guy, they're going to tell you.
It's going to be totally different.
It is from how a woman is thinking, because we're wired so differently. Like I have friends that'll tell me, you think like a man. And I even had a friend to tell me, and he said this to me. He was like, sometimes that can be intimidating for a man, for a woman to think like a man, because it kind of like, it takes the femininity out of you. And so I was like, that's kind of crazy. But I've heard that so many times, like, you think like a man. And it's like, it's not that I'm not feminine or I'm not submissive. It's just that I can relate because I've been through experiences where normally this would happen to a man, but it's happening to me because of how I am. And so it's like, when you get advice and stuff and you're dealing with situations, you know, you want to know what's going on. You want that solid advice.
Yeah. No matter what the sex is, no matter if it's a woman or a male, that is true. You do want solid, solid advice based not based off of what you would do or what you would think. I want you to be able to analyze this situation or what I'm bringing to you in your table or your couch. I need you to really pick through this and give me some real solid, not only advice, but some. I like evidence. Give me some evidence. Even if you got to pull some research up, let me know exactly what you feel will be my best bet in this situation. Do you have my best interest? Ooh. Now, if you just giving me advice because you know I'm with somebody that you know you probably couldn't be with, then we can do that. But as friends, I feel like, yeah, it's always good to have those friends around you that can give you advice based on a level of just authenticity. Like we just having an authentic, like right now, this is therapeutic. We just having a conversation, bouncing our ideas and our thoughts back and forth. And from this conversation, you may gain something. And from this conversation, I know I have gained.
I've definitely gained.
Yeah, it's always good to have somebody to talk to. And that's the only thing I want people to know. Like people look at mental health like it's this conservative thing and this is this whole serious thing, and that's what I've been doing. I've been just trying to push people to see that mental health is not all about going to go talk to somebody on the couch or what the lady and all this brain doctors and all that. Like, no, on a more personal level and on a more relatable level, it's just about having somebody you can talk to. And oftentimes we have people to talk to, but it's like, okay, you got it's like a thought on top of stress. Not only are you dealing with this baggage, but you try to figure out who can I trust to let this baggage out on? Like, who can I trust around me that can see me pulling these skeletons out of my closet? Yeah. Like, that's just one whole big problem in a nutshell. So that's why God created therapists and counselors and life coaches. God created those people to be able to be in place for those type of moments. And I feel like if it is your friend or if it is your family member, then that's even better because that's somebody that you have full access to. But for the people who don't, make sure y'all go to TiaraLeeann.com and schedule you a 15-minute consultation for free.
Absolutely. I noticed that is so true. Like I have a family member and she's like old enough to be like my aunt, but we're like this. Like it's funny because like we have a nickname for each other and everything. And it's like when I tell you some days, like I be going through things. And it's like I can call her. And when I call her, when I tell you it feels like weight just lifting off of me. It's just like I could just pour into her. She give me advice. I know it's coming from a solid place. You know what I'm saying? I know that my best interest is at heart. And when I talk to her, she has sound advice because she's been there, done that. And she's giving me what she feels I need to hear in that moment. And it just be so like, whew.
It's a
like
breath of fresh air.
Hold on for 1 second. We're going to pause it. Put the battery in. Say quick intermission.
Quick remission.
God. My penis is coming out.
Oh my God. I didn't even hear what she said. Done that. And you can actually see them living it. You know what I'm saying? Right. I know that I have like the spirit of discernment. And it's like I know that like my religion, like what my relationship with God, it's like it helps me tap into a lot of stuff. And so it's like when I see certain situations, I swear I be seeing it a mile away. Like it's so many things like in this week that has taken place already. We on Monday. I swear I felt it a week ago, weeks ago. But it happened. And it's happening, you know, and it's like it's just having that spirit of discernment and understanding. I just, when I tell you, it's like life.
Life is just life, and it's so beautiful because you every week, every day. I tell people all the time, every day is not going to be a good day. The sun don't shine every day, do it?
No.
So why do you expect to have a good day every single day? Yeah, we wake up with the intent to have a good day or the intent to just kick ass, you know. But sometimes it don't happen like that. You might get your ass kicked one day.
Right.
I don't know if we can, sorry. But you may get your butt kicked one day, and it's all about how you handle things in life. And that's my main thing. It's not about what you go through, it's about what you get through. And the more and more that you talk to people, the more and more that you know yourself and you become aware, the more and more you just pick up tools. It's like we all have our own little toolbox, and those tools, you just put them in there and you're able to refer to them whenever you want to refer to them. So for me, I think I would love to continue to have these type of conversations because I feel like a lot of people, we speak on other levels, entertainment, rap, hip hop, you know, just things like that. but we very rarely have conversations where it digs deep, it hit on a different level, and it's just like, I know a lot of people can relate, and a lot of people may listen, or they may listen in their privacy, or they don't want people to know about them wanting to get help or them wanting to change, because change for some reason is just this drastic thing that a lot of people don't like to hear. They don't want to hear the word change. They want to stay the same. And it's like, no, we're not perfect. And life is not perfect. Life is not all peachy, but the more that you learn how to cope with things, and the more that you pick up, you just pick up the tools, you pick up the information you need to keep going, I feel like the better off you'll be. So to break down mental health, that will be my definition. It's just being able to be aware of the things that you want to work on, and getting the tools that you need to fix all those things. That's why when they say you got some screws loose, yeah, we all got some screws loose. Yeah. But did you find the right tool to tighten that screw up?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, self-awareness. Knowing that. It's funny what you just said, because you summed it up completely. Like you do, like everybody has something going on, whether it's stemmed from childhood or it's happening in adulthood, because traumatic situations. Like I feel like when I lost my aunt, I feel like that was so traumatic for me. Then after that, I lose my dad. Like it was traumatic situations, and I feel like we carry those situations. You just learn how to live with them. So when things happen to you and you're dealing with stuff, even losing a relationship, that's traumatic. People don't understand that. So a lot of people don't give themselves time to really properly heal. So it's like you do self-awareness, just being aware of what you're doing. Step back sometimes out of yourself and say, dang, did I handle that situation right?
Exactly.
Did I approach that person in the right way? Can I go back and apologize? Because we're not perfect.
Right.
So go back and apologize, or sit that person down and have a conversation. Like that's what I do. I try to make sure that, like, you know, it's just part of being an adult. I will sit you down and talk to you and find out, is it something that I done wrong? Tell me, because I will correct
growth. That's growth. And those are the people who are into mental health, who are into healing. And you're not gonna find people that's not into it, that doesn't hold themselves accountable. Right. You know, it's about accountability. And I feel like the more you hold yourself accountable, the more that you are able to learn and grow. Because if you stay the same and you just feel like the same way that you're thinking is gonna get you through, or the same way you act or react to certain things is going to get you through. And it's just like, no, that's probably why you're going through the same situation, and you're recycling those moments back and back and back and back. Right. Because you're not changing nothing that you have been through. Trauma, like you said, it releases a different type of side of it. It releases a different type of emotion. And it's hard to fight through that emotion, because your trauma may not be my trauma. And you looking at life from a whole total different glance than I'm looking at it from. Yep, absolutely. And if you want to be my friend, we got to work that out. You get what I'm saying? Like absolutely. We got to find some type of
common ground. We got to talk through this. Yep. And that's true, because everybody comes from different walks of life. Nobody's going to always get along. We're not going to always see eye to eye. But if we can come together and respect each other, love each other, talk about it, get through it, that's the key to it. Unless you're dealing with somebody that's super toxic and it's like, oh yeah, you know, I gotta stay away from that person because, you know, but in most situations it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? Unless there is a boundary that you cannot cross, you can get through anything with anybody. You know what I'm saying? And I just like, so I just will say, like, I do agree with that. But I do definitely, like, I really enjoyed this conversation. You are such a beautiful person. It's like just seeing people from different walks of life. And it's like even your demeanor. Like you come from a place of peace.
Thank you.
And that's so good. That's power. That's so powerful. So I just want to thank you, you know, for coming on to the show and, you know, talking with me on the podcast and sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. You know, and just remember, guys, make sure that you are following her on Instagram. If you have not already, check out her IG at Tieara Leeann. Make sure that you follow, guys. Like, subscribe. Also follow my IG, I_Jaibella. Follow the beauty bar, Jaibella Beauty Bar of Atlanta. Thank you guys for tuning in, and you have a great night. Bye, everyone.